At some point, I'm going to have to do a video on the definition of the alt-right, because for some reason there's a whole bunch of things out there that a vocal contingent of people believe to be the alt-right that really isn't, especially when Twitter is involved. Hey, shoe on head, you've got some real crazies following you, you know? That's okay, I'm sure we all do. By the way, if you want a really deep dive for laughs, go and actually check this thread out. I'll link it in the description. Because apparently there's no difference between Sargon and the alt-right, and open borders advocacy is a centrist liberal position. Who knew? But I can tell you right away what the alt-right actually is. It's a joke. Oh, you wanted more than that? Well, the term alternative right was coined by Richard Spencer, where he described it as an ideology around European identity back in 2016. And Richard Spencer is just as much of a joke as the alt-right itself is. He presents himself as the well-spoken, well-dressed, youthful face of a new age white nationalism. Gone are the days of old men with southern accents wearing KKK robes. Now it's all about Asian traps and getting punched in the face while discussing Pepe the Frog.
We've entered this new world where the leftist protesters, no, I'm not a neo-Nazi.
You like black people?
Well, why do you hate,
sure.
why do so many neo-Nazis love you if you're not a neo-Nazi?
Neo-Nazis don't love me, they kind of hate me, actually.
Following the KKK, neo-Nazi.
Those people don't like me,
Are you
to be
like
honest.
the hipster version of the neo-Nazi movement?
It's, Pepe's become kind of a symbol.
And that legendary punch is the only reason anybody even knows about Richard Spencer at all. He was nothing before that video went viral, and to be fair, he's nothing now. He was a flash in the pan. His 15 minutes of fame were up long ago. The TV talking head invites have dried up. The podcast and debate scenes have moved on. His own YouTube channel has an absolutely abysmal reach. Richard Spencer's not really doing anything anymore. But that punch was the application of the Streisand effect in real life. If that video had gone on normally, if Richard Spencer had been allowed to say whatever it was he wanted to say, nobody would have cared, and the alt-right would have never even existed. But because he was silenced, by force, through the use of political violence, not only did he become a martyr for his cause, he made a lot of people who were either fence-sitters or genuinely ignorant on the topic decide to go look him up and see what he was all about. After all, things that are taboo are always going to be a bit more appealing. That's just how human beings work. But if you're getting Richard Spencer's ideas from Richard Spencer himself, not in a debate where he can be proven wrong, but in his echo chamber where he can put his best foot forward, yeah, that's going to actually convert some people to his cause, at least temporarily. That's the reason why you actually have to debate Nazis, communists, Islamists, and others with garbage ideologies. Because if you don't, you cede the ground to them. They win by default when you deplatform them. Besides, if your ideas are actually correct, why wouldn't you allow the debate and just demolish them? Well, debating doesn't seem to be the radical left's strong suit, and many a brainlet twisted themselves into pretzels trying to justify political street violence.
When Richard Spencer was punched while giving an interview in the street, it was a cathartic moment for many.
And then every white liberal came out of the woodworks going, I don't know if that's what we should be doing. Should we really be applauding someone for punching a Nazi?
Even though tolerance of political street violence was one of the core reasons that the original Nazis were democratically elected in the first place. So when audio leaked of Richard Spencer having a private meltdown, it really felt like the closing of a chapter, the end of an era. I'll play it for you here, but just be aware that, he loses the plot pretty quickly.
We are coming back here like a fucking 100 times. I am so mad. I am so fucking mad at these people. They don't do this to fucking me. We're gonna fucking ritualistically humiliate them. I am coming back here every fucking weekend if I have to. Like, this is never over. I win. They fucking lose. That's how the world fucking works. Little fucking kites. They get ruled by people like me. Little fucking octoroons. My ancestors fucking enslaved those pieces of fucking shit. We're gonna win. I rule the fucking world. Those pieces of shit get ruled by people like me. They look up and see a face like mine looking down at them. That's how the fucking world works. We are gonna destroy this fucking town.
That is an incredible amount of hatred right there, man. In his public appearances, Richard Spencer was always very careful to say that he advocated for a peaceful ethnic cleansing, whatever that means. I'm sure in his head he pictured a police state rounding up all the non-whites and shipping them back to their places of ethnic origin, using non-lethal state force. But this audio clip really does feel like the mask has slipped, and all of his legitimate hatred and racism came spewing forth. Richard Spencer's era of relevancy really lasted from that original sucker punch, right up until about the time where he debated Sargon and Styx. Even though Sargon lost that debate, Richard never really took that win and snowballed it into anything. He faded from public view, only really resurfacing as reports of his personal problems started coming to light. Like articles discussing how he was broke, or his legal troubles as it relates to Charlottesville, or his divorce proceedings, which revealed that he was extremely abusive towards his wife. And man, listening to that cocaine-fueled outburst earlier, I can believe it. I know the alt-right is currently the radical left's go-to boogeyman, and at some point I'll have to discuss why that is in more detail. But the actual alt-right, that extremely vocal minority of people that probably doesn't even exist as a six-figure number, as headed up by Richard Spencer, is dead. It's a dead movement. They're a bunch of LARPers with no actual power, and Richard Spencer's public self-own is really just the icing on the cake. You'll notice I haven't really discussed the nitty-gritty of the ideology of the alt-right yet, beyond simply calling it a loser philosophy. And I mean, the short answer to that is, this video is really all about taking the piss out of Richard Spencer. The long answer is, dismantling the philosophy behind the alt-right is going to have to be a larger video that I do at a later time. But I can still give you the Cliff Notes version right now if you like. The philosophy of the alt-right is similar to the philosophy of social justice in that they both revolve around identity politics. Where the alt-right differs from the radical left is that on some issues they actually start from a place that is at least somewhat representative of reality. Just as an example, let's take that one meme that is constantly reposted for shock value, but is still rooted in solid statistics. Black people in America represent 13% of the population, but commit 50% of the murders. And 90% of black victims are killed by other black people. When you confront the radical left with this statistic, they just call you a racist, like that one Twitter idiot from the beginning of the video did to me. They aren't even willing to engage with the empirical data on its merits. If you discuss the reality of the situation, you're problematic, because reality itself runs counter to their ideology. The alt-right, meanwhile, embraces that statistic because it gels with their worldview. Of course black people commit more crimes, says Richard Spencer. It's because they're black. The alt-right, in accepting the bare-bones facts of the situation, is at least one step further on the path to truth than the social justice warriors. They're still wrong, because they don't actually analyze the situation beyond simply attributing it to race. Meanwhile, the liberal position doesn't deny the statistics. Yes, black people commit more murders. But the liberal position also doesn't chalk it up to race. We're individualists. We don't consider propensity to murder to be a black racial trait. Maybe it's because of the complete destruction of the black nuclear family and the absence of the black father in the home. Maybe the black nuclear family has taken such a beating due to the multi-generational effects of both black slavery and the complete reliance on the welfare state. Maybe it's because a significant portion of black subculture in the United States rejects traditional markers of success as acting white, even as they also represent stability and prosperity for black children. The alt-right says, no, it's because they're black and therefore eternally inferior. The radical left says, no, it's because they're black and therefore eternally victims. The liberals say, treat them like the individual human beings that they are. Judge every case on its merits and its merits alone. Be colorblind. Consider the content of their character and not the color of their skin. In any case, Richard Spencer is a joke and his movement is over. I'd be very surprised if we ever hear from him again, now that his delusional ravings have finally been revealed. Or maybe this is all just a case of his No Nut November attempt really getting to him. I don't know. But I have a feeling that this won't stop progressives from labeling literally everyone that disagrees with them as alt-right, even if that analysis is factually incorrect. At this point, the only place where the alt-right exists in large enough numbers to actually influence things is in the minds of the SJWs.
You like black people?
Well, why do you hate
Little fucking octoroons! My ancestors fucking enslaved those pieces of fucking shit!